Okay, me again. And today I would like to discuss a 4 days working week. So, the idea of this, the idea behind this is just simply to let workers to work 4 days a week, I mean 30 hours, instead of 5 days per week, 40 or 37.5 hours per week. To increase their motivation, to increase their productivity, and to ensure that workers benefit from the longer personal time, better quality time, having time to rest, focus on self development, and as well company profit from better motivation and so on. So actually, there was a study done by Microsoft in Japan and Mind actually did. So if we introduce 4 days working week to get the same productivity, we will have to force people to work 10 hours per day. Which actually happened in a lot of companies. I used to work for some time in London City, and I know a lot of people who are doing loads and loads of overtime. So yeah. Um, So that was a story about Microsoft, Japan, and Mind Study. And that's a surprise because I was very passionate supporter of this idea. I think it would be very nice if we could work shorter time. So I was surprised to see recent article that it doesn't work. Uh, And as well, Telegraph actually is pushing the agenda, for example, um, that, well, if the public sector will go to that, elastic councils, for example, we will have a big problem. And actually, that's related to the article in the Guardian in Cambridgeshire. And surprise, surprise, 2 days later, the Telegraph article pops up. And as well, Daily Mail, which says simply on the other which is using examples to say doesn't work. So I decided to check what's going on. Uh, just go back to a concept of the productivity. When you work, you measure it all your revenue, your income by employees, or revenue by number of hours worked. But that's not exactly the true. And well, you can measure your productivity rather by revenue to cost. This is the productivity per worker. So you allocate part of your revenue to the worker, and then check how much he or she produced or revenue by number of hours worked. So if the revenue grow up, that's the story. But the other idea to measure productivity is rather to focus on cost. So how much it costs you to produce something. So how much the company earned when you divide it by cost of sale, and I mean that everything which was introduced to the production of basic services. Expenses is something different. You can allocate this cost, but yeah, it's an accounting treatment. So let me jump to something else. So Daily Mail article, companies say 4 days working week doesn't work. It's bumpy and so on. 3,000 employees in 70 companies. So it's about 40 people business, 40 employee. It's as well says, yeah, it's fine. It can boost productivity and pay, when you pay 100% salary for 80% of the time, workers are more motivated. And this is one company actually I would be interested to see because Unity is a big big IT gaming, I guess, company. at least what it's my understanding. In 2017, they bought three companies in UK. Game Digital is among them, and then Multiplay. If you know those businesses, because I have a potential couple of hits on Companies House, so I would like to investigate it more. Let me know if you know them, if you work for this business. Will be interesting to know. Um, but there are other people complaining. Is, for example, this lady, Trio Media boss Claire Daniels. Okay, so what she says is, well, it's complicated her process of hiring. So I have a 10 years background in finance. I'm paralegal, so I used to work with the bigger business supporting HR departments. So I was trying to understand what is a problem. I will later let you discuss briefly what HR specialists talk about that. But I was surprised to see Claire Daniels. So that's her business. When I go to people, she's around about. That's her. That's Claire Daniels, CEO, director or CEO of the company. So, and the address is Leeds, Chapel Allerton. So I went to company's house to see what's going on, what kind of business it is. If I go to overview, that's the address I'm finding on the website of Trio Media. And the people as well, there is a match, is a Claire Daniels. Fine. So I went to filing history and I find surprising story because when I checked accounts, they are not big business, so they are exempt from full accounts. She was employing 8 people, 6 people in 2020. So if by any chance this message will reach Miss Claire Daniels, I wonder if you could explain what there are problems with your hiring process. Because what I see, there is a lot of organization that work as a creditor for this for the weak employers. And as far I understand, like with Living Wage Foundation, they do kind of mentorship. So, and definitely they exchange ideas. So I think if this message will somehow reach Miss Claire Daniels, it will be nice to check with those people what's going on and how she can avoid her problem. But I said I used to manage small teams. I work closely with finance and HR departments, and I am surprised that for such small company it will make such big fuss. Uh, so I found as well Mox, which is as well in this article. So Mox is actually a company that says, well, that was the best business we ever made. So I decided to give a check what is Mox doing. So we have this person, Matthew Bolton, who appears as well in this article. So I went to account checks day as well, and a small business, and they, as if I remember, I read it before. They have 20, around 20 employees. If I remember, sucks. Oh, actually, 13 and 20 in 2012. So they are small growing business as I can see. But what he said in this article, the best business decision we ever made. So I wonder if if I could any well, if I could meet or speak to Matt Bolton and just ask him what exactly he mean by that. What is the advantage of this system? So going back to Miss Claire Daniels and her problem with HR, The biggest problem which I found on this portal is idea how to adjust holidays entitlement. So if you know, for example, if you would work 40 hours per week, you will have a, let's say, 20, 25 days per week. If you work shorter time, you will have a prorated holiday annual leave entitlement. So that was the biggest problem from this article, and as well potential well the potential threat that if you extend this 4 days a week program over the trial time horizon, yet will be kind of a contractual entitlement. So yeah, that was the announcement to the employees: be careful not to do it too long, otherwise. So yeah, and I just wonder why potentially bosses could quit of that. Maybe they decided to cut it quickly because they are not sure, until workers get adjust to and get used to this 4 days working week. They decided to cut it down. And as a surprise, actually, I came back to this Cambridgeshire article which I found in Guardian. So what they said in this article, and I would like to get a confirmation from the council because I'm not really sure if Guardian 100% correct. And if that's correct, I'm really, really worried because what they say that benefit claims collect uni rent collectors, planning people, and all the people from health inspection would work for 3 months in next year for 30 hours. Fine, they will check how it goes. But what surprised me is this paragraph. Refuse collectors have been left out of initial trial because of difficulty of employing the same amount of bins, of emptying the same amount bins in 20% less time. So what I'm really worried, the idea of 4 days working week get really become really popular among office workers and the management and accountants, white collars. But it looks like it will hit the backside of the working class blue collar people like bin collectors, posties, although they have a different arrangement with the posties. At least when I was working 12 years ago, there was a different time arrangement. So actually, you could work 30 hours per week if you have been productive enough, if you delivered all your mail. So that was a kind of, it depends how fast you want to work. But it really, really worry me. I'm really worried to hear that refuse collectors have been left out this program. So, okay, I gave a couple of minutes. I spent a couple of minutes to check what the South Cambridgeshire Council is. And they have a quite interesting story with bin workers. Why recently the bin workers get really bin collectors will get really upset with that, and they get really upset with the wage, with the salaries, even threatening to go on strike. Um, yeah, they say they're really going, and that's quite recent from last month. Actually, GMB was really upset with 2%, 2.5% pay increase, which was almost insult with this inflation. If you remember last year, nurses and NHS staff got 1%. Imagine that will be probably less than this 1% received last year by nurses because of inflation and so on. So it's a really big slap, and those guys won't profit from the 4 day week program. So I wonder what is the idea of the council Is it just to go the easy way and say, okay, it worked for office clerk, let's roll it out more, for example, to bin collectors, other workers, people who sweep the streets. But seeing this salary discussion, wage discussions, and industrial action, I think rather it's a more classism and approach that actually some groups of workers do not deserve it. But correct me if I'm wrong. So this is the website actually of the pilot program. I really recommend it to give a try and see what's going on. This is actually the list at some point on this website you will find who already does it in UK, and they have some kind of accredited program scheme, something like Living Wage Foundation, I guess. I will have to look at that. But that's the one idea I can imagine. So if you are employer considering that, I think you could go or via a trade unionist employee, and you think that would be very good for the company to introduce it. Check which industry your company from. Check the industry, the sector in which your company is, um, and yeah, maybe you will find someone who can be your mentor, or at least advise something, or at least have something on the website. And yeah, so that's what I have to think about 4 days working week program and sun announcement. It's going down. I'm really upset because of this information. Either it's a cultural war to say to us, it was said by Telegraph. Well, it's just simply as the taxpayers will be screwed because some workers will get shorter for the same salary, or there are other things behind, and I just wonder if it's fitting into bigger scheme of the current government who introduce new ideas. So few ideas consultation uh, about increasing productivity, for example, in care sector, and um, and that's so the idea is to, for example, to force carers in the nurseries, childcare to work a little bit more efficient. Instead, one adult, the two four kids, to one adult, one carer to five employees, and as well, Liz Truss is thinking about scrapping 48 hours time limit week. Yeah, so for now there is a limit, which is, as they say, European Union kind of but enforced legislation to allow workers to work no more than 45 hours per week. Which actually I know people who are agency workers who work even 60 hours per week. And yeah, and the unions already said that they want to clear what she meant by reviewing if she's going to scrap it. So yeah, I think it could be bigger part. The idea to scrap and the pressure to scrap 4 days working week program is a bigger picture. Is somehow related to the bigger picture and discourse around it. But let me know what you think, and yeah, catch up soon.